to TVCTV. I'm Stella. I'm joined today by Josh, and we're going to be talking about TVCTV. So Treasure Valley Community Television is an independent nonprofit organization governed by a locally elected board of directors. So Josh, TVCTV, what do you think? How do you think it could best serve its community?
This is a question I've asked myself a lot. I am a big proponent of TVCTV, mostly because I have a lot of good memories of this place. I took a course 4 times that takes place in the studio. And I do think it has value for the community, but a lot of times I've wondered what specifically that value is, and if my feelings for this place might not in part be influenced by just liking it. If I had to boil that down into, small ideas, in a world of social media and media in general, I think that, even though there's a lot of ways to get your message out there, live TV is still a unique experience and a unique way to have a discussion about something, like what we're doing right here. It provides unique opportunities for students and people in the community to learn how media is created and the different components that go into creating something successful. And furthermore, it gives us an idea of how media can manipulate us, like the elements of how you can string together a show to kind of get your message across. And since certain people with a lot of money are constantly doing this to us all the time, it's worth our while to know a little bit about how that works. Finally, if I had to talk specifically about this station, I think it is, in a way, sort of a community center that is underutilized in that aspect, in that, we talk a lot about the global village in our modern, context of the internet and everybody's connected. But we're also sort of disconnected on a very personal level in a lot of ways, and I think it's important that we don't lose what you might call like the town square in our lives. Facebook can do that to a certain extent, but people react differently. I'm not saying get rid of social media. By all means, let's keep it. Let's keep doing this thing that keeps us connected on a broader scale. But on a local scale, on a personal scale, I think it's important that we don't lose, in our goal to broaden our communication, that we don't lose our localized communication, because it does force you to interact with people you might not otherwise, to see perspectives that you might not see otherwise, and to have a relationship that kind of goes beyond like text on a screen. And so that part of it, I think, is an underutilized aspect of making live TV on a community level, as opposed to just making live TV on ABC, for example.
Okay, so to kind of bring that down, basically the 3 points I heard you say was you're making memories, learning, and interacting with the community.
Right.
So, okay, let's take that back a little, and will you expand more for me about memories and like some of the things you've enjoyed about being here?
Oh gosh, making TV is fun. I hope those of you who get to take this as a class or just get to work at this, it is a fun thing to do. I don't, and maybe not for everyone. I can't say that universally. I'm a pretty big guy for media, in general, whether that be making films or making whatever. Live TV is just a subset of that in a lot of ways. But it's exciting, it's nerve-wracking, it's intense, it's in the moment. And even when things go wrong, like just that process of sort of working, we're trying to tell a story in spite of all that's going on, all of the craziness of the time-critical nature of live TV. And that's intense and it's fun, and there's nothing quite like that in even the media field. There's just, nothing I've done, like film-wise, quite has the same vibe to it. They're fun and exciting in different ways. But yeah, I do really enjoy that process. And so those are fond memories. I've met a lot of really good people through this television station. Matt Daly, my first teacher here, was just a really interesting guy. And he's almost he's a socialist barring on, almost Red Nation model, Matt Daly, and I remember we took a class with a really hardcore Christian conservative in the course, and we all got along just fine. And that was really cool because you get past, this I guess ties back into the community thing that we talk about. When you're forced to be put in a situation where you have to figure things out together, we do this all the time at work, we do this all the time in different arenas, but we rarely do it on a level of like our politics and our religion and things like that. Because, and it's especially true with something like Facebook, because we can't get past our own biases, we can't get past our own shield of how this is supposed to work. When you're forced to do it in a fashion of trying to tell a story, and you're all trying to work together to tell a story, regardless of how we actually feel about these subjects, you kind of have to, you're kind of forced to get past that a little bit, and you get to know people as people a little bit better, and find out that you're actually not so very different from each other, and that I love about it. Mm-hmm. So those are really good memories that I've had of this place, and I continue. I mean, as I continue to work with the station, I continue to meet interesting people, infinitely interesting people, and learn more about their lives. And it's sort of, you have this experience in other classes too, with literature, anything that sort of requires of you, which is why for me, I think that this kind of stuff is as important as engineering or mathematics, even though those are fundamentals and important in the backbone of certain things we do in our society. They don't really ask of you to bear something personal of yourself. Mm-hmm. This does, and it does constantly, and you get to know people by force that you wouldn't really get to know in that way otherwise. It brings that out in us in a very healthy way, and I think the world could use this so much more. Plus, I mean, just the format of the show, we see it in our politics all the time. It's all about posturing, all about PR, all about putting ourselves out there in the way that we want to do it. This station isn't that way. Mm-hmm. As much. I mean, that happens, clearly, but it isn't as important because we don't have as much of a stake in that kind of thing as a politician does. So we're forced to, we're not forced to, we're allowed to attack these issues, approach these issues in a better way, in my opinion. I think the world could only use more of that.
Okay. So then another thing that you we're talking about is the things that you can learn. So if someone were to come in and be a producer, what would they have the opportunity to learn here?
Okay, I'll try and keep this quick because I'm running out of time. One, most important, the synergy of making live TV. The most important thing you can learn when you're making any kind of production or making any kind of art that requires more than one person, mm-hmm. how to work together as one unit. So that's the big one that you're going to learn, and that's useful, not just in TV, but anything that you want to do in life. 2, you're going to learn how the equipment works, and 3, you're going to learn the gist of, how community television works. And these are all things that I think, even people who are strong in the media field or strong in the arts could benefit from.
Okay. So then how do you think we can make Boise interested in this?
Well, I think you got to get the word out there. This is an interesting place. I think we need to bring it out beyond, we're not just broadcasting shows. Let's get past that. It's not just about that, because anybody can do that on YouTube now. It's fundamentally about working with people and learning how media works. And that's what you're going to benefit from that. I think we're not doing enough with kids. Mm-hmm. I would like to see elementary kids working on this stuff because they would love it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a playground here. Yeah, you have to be careful, but they can figure out how to use this stuff. I'd like to see more high school kids being exposed to this kind of form of media. And seeing, the stuff you produce can be more than a cat video. The stuff you produce can be something that you actually really legitimately care about more than just hitting your head really hard on the concrete. We can work and you can meet and work with people on a deeper level. And I think that's where we need to focus. How can we make this a community center? How can we make people interested in coming here and learning, as opposed to just one person is gonna figure it out?
Okay, and that sounds to me as though it goes along with giving a voice to the voiceless also, and giving more of a media outlet for people who don't really have access to one usually, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's about all the time that we have left for today. So thank you for joining us, and make sure and tune in again next time.